Hello, here we are again.
Yes.
So today, it's Sundays with Cinnamon, and I wanted to take the time to ask you a few questions. My first question is, who in the heck are you? Why do we care?
Yeah, well, I am a servant. That's who I am. And it's not what I do. It's who I am. I take it on. That's my life. I serve God through whoever allows me to be myself with them. And so yeah, that's who I am. I am someone who knows that there's more than this, and I love to help people to recognize that, and that this, whatever this happens to be in their lives, is there for them, not against them. So,
Whatever that may be.
yeah.
So last week we spoke about your back pain. How is that here for you?
That's here for me because I have more than the average bear's worth of compassion for people who are in pain. And it doesn't have to be the kind of pain that I have, because I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It can be somebody's broken fingers or toes or a dreadful burn, or it can be anything, because pain is relative to the person. And so what I experience to some people might be a lot easier to bear. And I was given it in the way I'm given it to enhance my level of compassion and my willingness to share it.
And so in your service, do you charge for your counsel or
I don't, because nobody charged me for it. Well, that's not true. Ken Pies charged me for it. My initial teacher, I went to workshops and paid for the workshops, although that's not where I learned. That's where I learned about me. I learned that what I was learning was didactic. It was philosophical. It was computer language back in the day in the 70s. And what I paid for, if you want to call it pay, because I did pay for the workshops, was to realize that I already had it. I just had to honor it and release it and let it emerge. And when I say honor it, I mean that it was given to me as a gift, the awareness and the love, loving where often sometimes love seemed not to be. And so it was just a matter of sharing that. So how do I charge for that? It's worth more than, I like to tell millionaires, and I've worked with any number in the past 30 years, I like to tell them they don't have enough money to pay me what it's worth.
Well, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced that for sure.
Yeah.
So what is love to you?
Well, I like to stay with the money thing because
Okay.
people would say, well, how do you survive? When my husband passed away, and I've had nothing and I've had everything. When I was married to my husband, may he rest in peace, I was affluent compared to what I used to be, before him. And then when he left, his illness took everything for the most part, and I was left with a stipend that came from a trust kind of thing. And so because I knew how to live on very little, I just went back to living on very little, so I didn't lose. And I watched him leave in the way, I didn't see it as a money drain, I saw it as supporting him in leaving holistically in the way he wanted to, not paying for chemotherapy, paying for Jitsu or whatever natural therapy he wanted to leave with. And that was worth it to me, and continues to be. And consequently, you, as much as anyone knows, I have never been without clothing. I've got more clothes than the law allows, and it comes from clothing exchanges, people giving me clothes, or somebody's giving something away, and I say, wait a minute, I'll take that. And so, and I spend what I have on food, because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't go to clubs. And so I don't need a great deal. I just don't.
And I know that you don't say it's wrong to charge.
Not at all. Not at all. Everybody has to do what they do, whatever they're guided to do. If you can charge money and be fully fulfilled and satisfied and at peace, charge all the money you want. It's none of my business.
So what is love to you? Or living love?
Living love is that soup on the counter, that box that I'm sending to my brother-in-law. It is my home. It is what I surround myself with. The impressions of the greats, Jesus, Gandhi, whomever has seen their way through the darkest times and come out fully realized. Living love is just that. It's living love. It's just so self-explanatory. It's not a class. It's and I do hold classes. It's just that I hold classes to remind people that out there is the classroom of life. Mm-hmm. If you're not living love, coming here is pretty much a waste of your time. Go bowling or to go to the movies or do something that is equally fulfilling to you, because coming here and thinking this is it, and then going out there and not loving your brother and it's interesting how people can say, well, I hate my next door neighbor, but I love my kids. Well, hate and love, they're not bedfellows. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't discount when you're loving, you're loving. You can't throw out the times that you're loving. Although when you're hating, you're really dooming yourself to misery.
So, looking at love and fear, I have
That's all
often.
hate is, by the way, is just an enormous amount of fear that has to look tough and hateful to disguise the fear.
Yes. And what we see, or what I read quite often, is that we're only human and it's impossible.
And that, is inverted. We are not only human. We are only spirit. At the costume party, at play acting, at being human. It's like Shakespeare said, we're all players on a stage. And each of us has our different roles. And see, the thing is, this is going to be over. You are never going to end, because you are the spirit, the embodiment of love. Much as Jesus was the embodiment of creation and the example of how it doesn't matter really how you die, it's how you live and how you leave.
Yes.
In peace.
So, is it possible to not choose fear?
Well, it is possible not to choose fear. You do it often. I do it all the time. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that if a car crosses your path, your body is not going to be startled and your body is not going to cellularly react. It just means that immediately you can choose peace and keep going. I remember the story the kids can tell you, that I was sessioning and I had a bunch in the car, and I was sessioning with someone from here, and I was in Albuquerque, and this car nearly hit us, just so close you could breathe on the driver. And I took a breath and I noticed it, and I just kept sessioning. She didn't even know on the other end that anything had occurred, because it was done. Here, we were all in one piece, nobody got hit, it was done. And everyone in the car was, oh my God, you almost got hit, what if the blah, blah, blah. What if, what if, what if? What if you look at the fact that none of that occurred? That's how you play the what if game for yourself.
Yes. Well, thank you. And this completes this Sunday. And we'll see you next Sunday with another 10 minutes. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I love you.
My pleasure. I love you too. All of you, whoever see this, I love you too.
Bye.